Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is the Fanatics Call In and Proteas Watch, where we talk about the IPL and we speak about everything that happened in the last week. Fridays are going to kind of be our catch-up session after the final game on a Friday. We will obviously give a whole review of everything that happened in the week and obviously whatever happened in the match at that time. So this is an opportunity for some fanatics of the game to call in and have a chat with me about these different things. We know what happened kind of in the game. We know that CSK had to saw Faf batting on his own once again and having to try to pull through a victory or try and pull through a victory for CSK after they kind of let the game slip away from them when they had some sort of control. And yeah, they end up losing by 44 runs. And obviously, Kagiso Rabada taking 3 wickets, Anrich Nortje is taking 2 amazing wickets, which was fantastic. So as per usual, what we're going to do is we're going to bring on our friends all to talk about the IPL. So let's just bring them on slowly but surely. You'll see a lot of graphics switching around. But let me tell you, before you guys get going, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell and doing all of those things. Become part of the family. Come have a conversation with us because we'd love you guys to help us grow our platform. So without further ado, here's our guest. I'll introduce to you first, Aditya. Welcome to the show. Abai, welcome to the show. It's almost like bang. I wish I had flames. Ravi, bam, welcome to the show. So, how's it, guys?
I'm not
How you
wearing
doing?
a Chennai Super Kings shirt, guys. This is a Ghana top. I'm not affiliated with Chennai Super Kings. I hope the fans don't go crazy and stuff in the comments. I don't like Chennai Super Kings. I'm glad they lost tonight. Anyways,
Yeah.
over to you, Khalid.
Yeah. So, how I like to get the show going normally is just a quick review from Aditya, our man in India. Just give us a quick review of what happened in this match, so our fans can just catch up quickly of basically what happened.
Right. So Delhi Capitals started their innings with Shikhar Dhawan and their young gun Prithvi Shaw. And in contrast to their previous batting performance, this one was far more measured, it was far more controlled and incredibly aggressive. Their opening partnership was about 94 runs, and given the momentum that they were able to gain in the first 10 overs, it looked like they were all ready to set a score of at least 190 to 100. Chennai then pulled it back a little bit with some decent bowling, and they were able to get them to about 174, which was always going to be a tall task for this pitch, for this ground. Given what a big outfield it is, and as we've seen through this IPL, we would have sort of assumed that with the dew factor coming in, most teams would prefer chasing. But seeing how the first 7 games have gone, it appears as if batting first presents a more significant advantage. So posting 174 on the board, Chennai Super Kings batting has been struggling, with the exception of Faf, who's the orange cap holder at the moment. And Shane Watson and Murli Vijay, they were struggling to get some momentum. Both were scoring at significantly under a run a ball, which is obviously not ideal when the pitch is not working in your favor and the ground is big. And you've got a bowling lineup comprising KG Rabada, Anrich Nortje, and the company. So it was challenging. And again, Faf, as you said, was left to sort of make a substantial score for the team, and he ended up with a decent 43 of 35. It was a good score, but I think the rest of Chennai's batting really needs to sort of step up if they want to notch up a few wins in the next couple of games. So yes, they lost by 44 runs, and I suppose it wasn't surprising seeing how much they were struggling to get going.
Yeah, so I think let's just talk about, before we get into the midweek games, let's just talk about some of the highlights in this particular match. Obviously, Aditya has summarized it amazingly for us. But for me, the star player or the star performance of the day was kind of Anrich Nortje for me. I think Anrich Nortje was really economical in his bowling, even though KG got 3 wickets, I think, for 26 or 25 runs. It was Anrich that really set the tone and really took the game and by the scruff of their neck and kind of put the Capitals in the right position. You see now they change the name so many times, and I get confused because there've
I
been
think it's
so
only
many
one
Delhi
change.
teams
I think,
over the
yeah.
years.
They were the Daredevils, now the Capitals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, because DC before was the Deccan Chargers, wasn't it?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
I get-
love the Devil's name. I love that moniker. I'm a huge Marvel fan.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not affiliated, but I love the Daredevil.
Yeah, I also did.
Especially when Gambir used to bat with that helmet with the horns on it. So that was pretty cool. And I was like, that's innovation right there.
Yeah. So Ravi, I want to ask you first. Obviously, we've been talking about Anrich for quite some time that he needs to be obviously one of the main bowlers in the side. For the Proteas side, I'm talking about now. I saw some amazing slower deliveries from him. So he's added some amazing variations. So after our on lockdown episode that we had, he was speaking about adding variations to his game, and that's exactly what he's been doing. So he's true to his word.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go see that video, obviously click the eye on the screen. I will add it after the stream so that you guys can go watch the unlocked episode of Anrich Nortje. I'm going to do a lot of punting in this show. So this
No,
is
you should, as you should. That was an awesome interview, particularly because Anrich and his fiance were both in the car in a parking lot, and she was sitting there the whole time of the interview, and she just surprised everybody. It's like, I was here the whole time. Look at me. And a true story. You guys should actually go check out the interview when you can. But exactly what Khalid said, Anrich was talking about variation in his bowling, particularly. He was talking about a lot of slow balls, a lot of doublers, particularly as well, which we saw tonight. I think he got an LBW decision off. I think it was either Jadeja or the guy before him. But I know that stunted any sort of progress the Super Kings were making.
Kedar Jadhav, actually.
Was it Jadhav? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Aditya summarized it so well. If I had to put it as a theme, I think it was literally a battle between the youth and the old campaigners, the experienced campaigners. Because I think the challenge with Chennai is that they're still reliant on the same guys to bring them the results, the same results from the past, and unfortunately, they came well short of the target. And the irony of it all is that Faf is playing his best cricket, in my opinion. He looks like a rejuvenated man. He's doing very well. But to answer your earlier point, Khalid, I think we found our new death bowler in the format, Anrich Nortje. I think he's going to do wonders for us in many T20 matches for South Africa.
Yeah, I don't want them to hate me, and I don't want the fans to hate me for saying this, but obviously we saw Dale Steyn bowled, and there's a lot of comparisons between the two. Currently going around in South Africa because of the pace that Anrich Nortje bowls. Abai, if you had the choice, would it be Anrich or would it be Dale? And also, just give me what you thought about this particular game. What was the standout moment for you?
All right, so I'm going to go in order. If I had to pick between Anrich Nortje and Dale Steyn, I would probably have to go with Nortje because I think we saw in the even before the IPL, we saw in the series against Australia, he bowled pretty well towards the end of the innings in the second game, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he's got a lot of potential, and he's shown what he's capable of in today's game. So that's the answer to my first question. And I think, what I saw in today's game, the way KG and Anrich bowled, I think it shows that South Africa has a lot of promise when it comes to the pace bowling battery, as we say. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. But Aditya, I wanted to mention something else, and with regards to Chennai Super Kings especially, they look like they've been leaking runs at crucial times recently in the last few matches. I know that he's been successful with regards to Chawla. I think that's how you pronounce it, the spinner.
Yeah.
Why hasn't, or explain it to us, why hasn't Imran Tahir had the chance? I mean, he used to play for, if I remember correctly, he used to play for KKR, didn't he, last season?
No, actually, he played for the Rising Pune Super Giants in 2017.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought he was Couldn't remember all the teams that he played for.
Khalid, me and CSK is kind of like you and FC Barcelona.
How would you say that?
I just had to
'Cause
throw
I
that
hate-
one in.
Because I hate FC. Because I hate Barcelona. Is that what you're saying?
I've kind of gotten bored of seeing CSK like perform and dominate so many times so often. I'm like, and plus I'm an RCB fan, so it really hurts.
Yeah. So I've seen over here that this guy has. I think he did play for the
CSK is like
Calcutta
Man
Knight
City.
Riders last year. I think KKR, and he's
Who
also
you took
played.
off Piyush?
No, Piyush. Yeah. Well, according to Kick Info, I
Yeah,
remember him.
he's a nomad. That dude is a nomad.
I don't know.
He's played for Kings 11
for a
at
couple
Super
of teams. I don't know, but I wanted to ask Aditya your opinion on why hasn't Imran Tahir shown his face or had an opportunity? Is it just purely because of the internationals in the Chennai Super Kings side that they have to pick?
I think it's a matter of balance. So in the top order, you have to have Faf. There's no question. He has to be in the 11 unless he's injured, which I'm sure the Chennai Super Kings will hope that never happens. Otherwise, they're in serious trouble. Sam Curran has to be in the team as well. You've got a medium fast bowling all rounder, as Abhay always clarifies.
Yeah.
And he's a gun fielder as well. See, Chennai Super Kings is an aging side, so they aren't going to have those flying saves and things like that, which Faf and Sam Curran are capable of, and Ravindra Jadeja is an infielder. Finally, they need some top order strength, which Shane Watson provides. Otherwise, their batting will be thin. So Watson, Faf, and Sam Curran, they have to be there. And then from the bowling front, you either have Lungi or Josh Hazelwood. Hazelwood, I think he bowled brilliantly today. He was fantastic. But again, like Faf in the batting, Hazelwood was probably the lone warrior in bowling because the others bowled taken apart. So it's very difficult. I think in the second half of the tournament, Imran Tahir will have a huge role to play because these pitches are going to get worn out. I think between three grounds, there are going to be some 76 games played. So there's no doubt that in the second half, and that's precisely why the curators have left a lot of grass on the pitch so that they can sort of arrest that wearing down process. And I have no doubt that Imran Tahir will feature prominently in CSK's campaign, but in the second half of the tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wonder what they're going to take out for him. We'll have to.
You
There's
know,
not a lot of.
yeah.
Yeah,
This leads me to what I'm about to say next. Aditya, first of all, nice analysis, but I don't exactly agree on Shane Watson because at least from what I've seen, he just seems to be past his best, and at 39, I'm not sure if he has a whole lot to offer. But and I think CSK are probably better off if they invest in a young Indian opener, and that opens up another overseas spot. So we might see someone like Mitchell Santner, let's say, get a game.
But you're right. I agree. I think Shane Watson, in my view, he doesn't play enough cricket to be able to strike form early enough in the tournament. I think Ricky Ponting, when he was coach of Mumbai Indians, he once said that a lot of the T20 mercenaries like Kyron Pollard and so on, when they come into the IPL, they're typically rusty. At least in the first 7 or 8 games or so, it takes them that much time to be able to find some sort of form, find some sort of confidence to be able to take into like the business end of the tournament, which I think is going to happen to Shane Watson as well. If you look at his numbers last year, in the first 7 or 8 games, he was averaging no more than I think 15 or 20, and then towards the back end of the tournament, he found some momentum. He was averaging in the 40s, and then he almost took them to victory in the finals. So I think, to be honest, I agree with you. I think I would probably reflect on that a little more, but I don't know if Chennai has an alternative.
Another thing is the fact that a lot of players have been picked on reputation and legacy. I mean, we've seen so many experienced campaigners over the years, and I think this year, By the way, absolutely no offense, but I think at 37, Dale Steyn seems to be wearing down a little bit. And considering the fact that the World T20 has been shifted to next year, it remains to be seen whether or not he's going to be an option for South Africa.
Yeah,
It's the harsh truth, but I think somebody or the other had to say it.
I know gave an interesting thing the last time, an interesting statement last time that Dale Steyn is really cool to have around the dressing room and to teach these younger players a few skills and stuff like that. They should actually tap into his ability, maybe hopefully as a bowling consultant down the line in the future. What I wanted to say there about Chennai Super Kings is I don't really see another option for Watson, like you said, and for them to have left out someone like they still have. I don't think they were very smart in the way they recruited with regards to their international players, because they have Dwayne Bravo sitting on the bench still. I
think he's injured.
Is he injured?
Yeah.
Is Dwayne Bravo injured? Okay, cool. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking now.
Injury in the CPL.
Okay, cool. So so they have Dwayne Bravo there. They have Sam Curran. They have so many international players that it's almost like they try to just take a lot of the players so that they can keep them away from other teams. Because if you look at a team like, what's that team's name now again? The Rajasthan Royals, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think they have a South African in their side.
David Miller?
Oh wait, David Miller's in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Which one is it that doesn't have a South African in the side? One of the teams don't have a South African in their side.
Sunrisers Hyderabad?
Sunrisers Hyderabad don't have a South African, yes. So like, for example, that would have been a nice place for someone like, I don't know, Imran maybe to go. Or I know they have Khan as well, right?
Yeah, they have Rashid Khan.
Yeah, they have Rashid Khan as well.
Yeah, the thing about Sunrisers. Yeah, the thing about Sunrisers is that I really can't see their overseas combo changing much, because you have David Warner, who's going to captain, and he has to play every single game. And then you have Johnny Bairstow, who's done so many great things in international cricket. He can't be sitting on the bench. And then you have Rashid Khan, who he's a proven T20 performer. He can bowl nicely, and he can hit a few big ones down the order. So that only leaves one option, and they have to think. They had to think pretty carefully, because if they play the extra batsman in Kane Williamson, then they have to rely on some inexperienced Indian player to take up the all-round duties.
RCB would have actually been a nice spot for him, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
RCB would have been a nice place for him, I tell you. And Peter shaking his head.
But we have Zampa. We have Adam Zampa.
And Yuzi Chahal. So you got like three leg spinners in the same
you
team.
need to unpack that for me. When you say we, sorry, which team are you referring to?
Royal Challengers Bangalore. I thought I said earlier I'm an RCB fan. Yeah.
Shame. Wow.
Hey, look here. I have to
say though, back in 2010, I was pretty certain that they were going to win the whole tournament, and Dekan just came and just swept.
Oh, don't bring back those memories. Don't bring back those memories.
No, KP was remarkable.
Best team to never have won it. RCB, yes.
Yeah.
Good team on paper, but they just never click.
Well, Khalid, the game isn't won on paper, I'm afraid, my friend.
Yeah,
all of the Galaxy superstars on that piece of paper doesn't mean you're going to win the tournament.
So I've been feeding the fans with a whole lot of nonsense about where Ibrahim should go. From your perspective, where do you think he would fit better in or get more game time? Where do you think he would get more game time?
For Chennai, no doubt about it.
Only Chennai.
Yeah. See, the thing is that the Chennai squad was assembled and recruited in the auction for a Chennai pitch. Chennai is a fortress for the Chennai team, the IPL. That can't be said for a lot of the other teams, but Chennai makes the most of its home advantage. And Harbhajan Singh pulled out of the tournament. But if you look at the spinning combinations that they have, they've got Mitchell Santner, who's a left arm off spinner, Harbhajan Singh, who's a right arm off spinner, Piyush Chawla, who's a leggy, Imran Tahir, who's a leggy, and they've got Karan Sharma, who's leggy as well.
And Mitchell Santner, another left arm spinner.
Yeah. So they've got a perfectly balanced. They've got a perfectly balanced spin battery, but how that applies to UAE pitches is yet to be seen. I think so far the only spinner who's been sort of outstanding, stands out, has been Yuzvendra Chahal.
Right.
and he's been the match winner so far. He's been RCB's best bowler in the last 3 years. So I think if Imran Tahir ever had to, get the most game time he could, it would be for Chennai. And Dhoni is a master at managing spinners. There's no doubt about that. He's just brilliant at it, and he's made the most of his time with Chennai. And similarly, the batting order as well. So in 2018 when they were at the auction and assembling that team for Chennai, there was a documentary that was made, highlighting that entire process. And in that, there's a discussion of the overseas players that they should aim for at the auction. There was a discussion between Faf and Brendan McCullum. And Dhoni was very elaborate and effusive in his praise for Faf, where he said that Faf is a more adaptable and versatile batsman, where he can knock the ball around and he can change gears, whereas perhaps that might not have been the case for Brendan McCullum at the time. So I think a lot of thought has been put into how that squad was assembled, but in the UAE, I think they still to figure out their best 11.
Okay, so let's move on from this game. We spoke enough about it, almost 20 minutes about this particular game. There was a whole week of fixtures that happened, and not the best of performances from a South African point of view. The Cock also again not doing so well. Besides that amazing catch that he took behind the wicket. So before we have before we have fellow
his wicket keeping. Yeah, his wicket keeping was great though, irrespective of the result.
Yeah, before we have fellow fans shouting at us about why we are not mentioning Quinton de Kock's wicket keeping, we have to mention. Sorry, Sabia. So we have to mention Quinton de Kock's wicket.
Hashtag sorry, Sabia.
Yeah. So Lungi Ngidi, I think they maybe were a bit scared about. Basically, he was kind of the one that got punished to take Chennai Super Kings into their first defeat of the tournament. So it was a bit disappointing, and I don't think it's necessarily all Lungi's fault. It just so happened that that's what happened. Those things happen in T20 cricket, and especially like Aditya mentioned in his review the last time, the wickets batting, like for example, it's not something that they're used to as well. So from your guys' perspective over the last week, we obviously had an amazing performance from KL Rahul, who's one of my favorite Indian players, actually. There's not much to talk about from a South African side. But who do you think, Aditya, let me start with you. Who do you think has risen over here from your perspective as outliers or dark horses in the tournament, or shown their capabilities?
South African players?
No, just general. I'm talking about team-wise in the IPL this last week. Who do you think surprised you?
I wouldn't say surprised, but I think the Delhi Capitals, they've got a very strong unit. And they've been, I think throughout the IPL, they've been among the lower-ranked teams because they've lacked team balance and they've lacked firepower to be a successful T20 team. But I think last year they made it to the playoffs, and this time I think they're serious contenders for the title. In their last game, their batting looked like they had the resources to put on a solid score, but they misfired in terms of strategy. But I think they corrected those mistakes this time, and it was a brilliant and very mature batting performance from the Delhi Capitals. I think what's really working, and perhaps it's something that all teams should be sort of analyzing now, is that perhaps there's a template for how to bat in the UAE through the course of this tournament, because we're seeing a couple of things that have been consistent through the 7 matches that have happened thus far. One is that it's important to make sure that you have a decent strike rate, but you preserve wickets in the first 6 overs.
Fafa showed it brilliantly. Fafa showed exactly how you should bat on these wickets. KL Rahul as well. Obviously, you're going to get an amazing innings like that. If he can do it again, is the question. I'm a big fan of him. I've always been a massive fan of him. I've always thought that he should walk into that Indian side, in my opinion. I know a lot of people might not think so, but I think he should. What I wanted to ask you is that, yes, the Delhi Capitals have if you look on paper, they also have a very good batting lineup now this time around. Have you been disappointed with Rishabh Pant, or have you? Because I mean, I remember 2 seasons ago, he looked phenomenal in the IPL. He was really special. I remember in '83, I think that he scored the one game, and I was just like taken aback. I was like, it's amazing at such a young age. I think he was only 18 or 19, or maybe a little older than that. That time when I watched him play in the beginning. Have you been a little bit, as an Indian fan, have you been a little bit let down by his performances? Do you think he can do better? He obviously can do better.
See, first off, I think Rishabh Pant is an outstanding talent, and I think he has all the makings of being an India great in times to come. In this tournament, I think Rishabh Pant's biggest challenge is going to be adaptability. He comes in at number 4 or number 5, perhaps, depending on the situation. And his challenge is going to be, because it's not easy to start on these wickets. So his challenge is going to be to get through that phase, perhaps take, 5 or 7 or 9 balls and then go for the risky shots, because that's his specialty. I think he's an aggressive attacking player. But the challenge for any middle order batsman on these pitches is to stick around a little bit, take a little bit of time and then perhaps attack. He's accustomed to the Firozshah Kotla in Delhi, where it's a little easier for him to just go from ball 1. But I think if he learns to sort of control his game and play a bit more risk-free cricket at the beginning of his innings, it will serve him well. But yes, that said, there have been plenty of times where you feel like he's made a lovely 15 and you feel like he's set for a big score, and then suddenly he gives his wicket away to a really reckless shot. But I guess the good comes with the bad, and with an impact player like Rishabh Pant, you sort of have to accept that.
Yeah. So Ravi, with regards to the other games that you've seen, I mean, we've had some incredible performance from the likes of Steve Smith as well. Obviously, Faf is the man, like you said. And just give it a thought on that. So long. Think about some of the other performances that you've seen this week that really impressed you. I just want to go to Abhay to let him comment on Pant as well.
Okay, you want Abhay to go ahead?
Yeah, Abhay can just have a comment on Pant first, and then you can go into your.
Dala, if you must, Abhay. Dala, if you must.
Well, the most I'm going to say is I think 2 games I don't think it's the best metric to say whether you're very impressed or disappointed with him. But considering his reputation in the IPL, I think he's going to have a great tournament. He actually went okay today, like 37 from 25, and the pitch I wouldn't say it was the easiest pitch to bat on. So I hope this is the beginning of something great for him in the IPL. And I think he's probably frustrated by how he hasn't been able to find consistency in one-day internationals and T20 internationals. And I think ideally this tournament should be the launch pad for him for further success. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. So when I was talking about his form and stuff like that, I'm not necessarily talking about the IPL alone, and I'm talking about for quite some time he struggled in the international scene. It hasn't been the easiest of runs for him on an international level. Like, people thought that he will hit the ground running and maybe cement his spot in the Indian side like immediately. I mean, I understand that yes, there's other keeper batsmen, etc., and there are other batsmen that may be more experienced that can play in that side, but the chances that he hasn't really shown his full worth. I don't think he's showing his true potential. I mean, we can be very harsh on the guy like Aiden Markram, where a lot of people say that his potential is through the roof, and then we had opportunities for playing the ODIs as captain and against India, and he struggled. And especially when he's playing in the shorter formats for South Africa, he struggled. So reading into this tournament, I think Rishabh now should be one of the more senior guys, I would say, in that side, especially in that batting lineup when you have Shaw in the top of the order. He should be one of the guys that steps forward and says, look, I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to be the star guy in this team, in this batting lineup. Don't you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. But going back to the Aiden Markram situation, I think it was kind of unfair to give him captaincy so early in his career. Like he's just beginning to make himself regular for South Africa, and then he gets a little extra responsibility. But then again, that could probably be a good thing too. Like if you give him a couple of years. But yeah, I don't think that's changed my opinion on him. I think he's going to end up a fantastic player for South Africa. I think he's going to score lots of runs across all formats. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on Markram.
Yeah. So yeah, because I mean, obviously, I believe in Markram 100%. Yeah, me and Markram, we have a decent relationship that we've built over the last few years, where we talk about, where when I do see him, we get to talk about his cricket and stuff, and I've been following his career quite closely because one of the first ever features that I've ever done, and one of the first features on him, I did it way back in 2016. I think I wrote an article on it in the last issue of the magazine. It was the cover issue. I wrote a story about how I met Aiden, and I've tracked his career for quite some time, so I know his talent. It's just, playing in that particular tournament, I mean, playing in that particular series against India was tough. I mean, with Chahal, the way he was bowling, flip and all, and also the other spinner, what's it, Yadav?
Kuldeep Yadav.
Yeah, Kuldeep
Yadav. Yeah,
Kuldeep Yadav.
I mean, 33 wickets between the two of them. It was remarkable. They just turned us in and out, and nobody knew how to play them. Like, our batting coach even came to the press conference and he was like, we don't have a problem against spin. It's just that we can't prepare for them because a lot of our batsmen haven't seen their unorthodox style of bowling. And I'm like, don't talk total nonsense to me, man. Like, there must have been some sort of preparation that could happen. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there must have been guys that played against them in the IPL that could have given some insight into it. I mean, I think what I think was the problem with that was that our application of the attacking brand of cricket was incorrect. So when Otis Gibson came out and he said that he wants to have this attacking brand of cricket for South Africa, he wants to see South Africa play this positive, attacking, no-nonsense brand of cricket, I think the way they've implemented it was incorrect. Because if you listen to a guy like Owen Morgan, and I keep on saying this reference, when he was in his press conference of a year at Newlands, he explained that he wants that England must play an attacking brand of cricket, but he also mentioned that they must play smart cricket. And smart is the key word there, because it's when to attack that's important. You don't just go out and start swinging from the get-go on any pitch. If the pitch is conducive for that type of play, then play that way from the start. But sometimes you're going to need to take your time and maybe take a few balls and get your eye in first. You need to be able to be adaptable, and that smart part of that sentence shows adaptability, shows that you have the ability to be able to think about the cricket game and think about how you're going to approach it. And I think, first of all, we need to get some stability in the Proteas side. But before I go rambling on about the Proteas, I need to get Ravi to chat and tell us about some of the inningses or the bowling performances or batting performances that you enjoyed this last week in IPL.
Yeah, thanks, Khalid. That was the longest 3 hours of my life. I'm just joking with you. I was just curious. So when you said you were right there with Aiden Markram, did you do some throwdowns with him? Did you operate the bowling machine and help him with this technique?
No, man. I mean,
because that could explain a lot as well.
I mean, from a journalistic perspective. So when Aiden just came into the Titan side again, because he took a small sabbatical to go study. So he played for Northerns. He didn't get play for the Titans or franchise, even though he was going to be offered. I think he was going to be offered a Titans contract, but I think he might have refused it. But I need to get that facts in check. But I know that he went to play for Northerns. Didn't play for Titans. He was studying, playing for his university. This is straight after the World Cup. So his first season for the Titans back in franchise level. The first interview that was done on him was an interview that I did with him about Proteas selection, and I wanted to ask him about Proteas selection, where he sees himself as an opening batsman. Does he see himself as the solution? And he was talking about him being, and my title was at first was that he was the answer to our opening conundrum. At the time, Stephen Cook was batting over there at the top of the order. He came back straight into the Titan side, and he went on an amazing run. He scored like 3 or 4 centuries in a row or something like that. He went on an incredible run for the Titans
for a long time.
Yeah. And then I think he's got 500 runs in a couple of matches, and then he went to the SAA side, and that's where everything just took off from there. The following season, he was in the Bangladesh side, opening the batting. So yeah, I've been tracking his career for quite some time. Big fan of him.
I mean, I think we said it in the earlier show. I mean, he's definitely somebody that's missing from the tournament, from a South African perspective. But you asked me about what I've observed over the last week, and one thing I can tell you is that gone are the days where we look at a massive innings like what we've seen from KL Rahul. I mean, that was probably one of the best T20 innings I've ever seen in any sort of tournament structure. And I think the reason why it was so good is that the way he crafted it wasn't hitting the ball, as Aditya was saying. He didn't hit the first ball for a 6. He wasn't pulling off a Virender Sehwag sort of style. He was actually finding the gaps. He was playing conventional strokes to begin with. And then suddenly, when he had his eye in, or when he was over the 40 mark, suddenly he started playing more expansive shots. And you're seeing it like a beach ball. And there's nothing you can do. And I think the South African fans, particularly, were very harsh. Well, not even South African fans. I think fans in general are quite particularly harsh on Dale Steyn specifically. And the reality is that everybody in that bowling lineup got stick. You know, they got carted all over the ground. And you can't rake Dale Steyn over the coals for that. Sometimes you have a batsman that's on form and it's very difficult to get him out. It's a game of very small margins.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I've also observed was you mentioned Ngidi. And I found that when he was bowling to Jofra Archer, Jofra was playing expansive shots as well. He was playing within his strengths. He was playing within the V. And unfortunately, Archer got on top of Ngidi and it cost him 26, 27 runs. And again, it's a game of these small margins. You know, if that innings, that small explosive cameo didn't quite happen as planned, chances are Ngidi and company probably would have been the victors on the day. But it shows you it's a game of small margins as well. It doesn't mean you didn't necessarily have to be a top order batsman to score an explosive 100. It could be a guy coming in at 7 or 8, scoring a quick, fast 24, 25 runs in 1 over. That could be just as damaging, and Jofra Archer proved that. He proved his worth from that point of view as well. I think there's going to be some exciting things from him coming up. I think Rajasthan's actually looking far more competitive now than they have been since they won the inaugural tournament, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They haven't really punched above their weight for a long time, and I think this is the first time I'm actually seeing a highly competitive outfit from them. And I think there's going to be a lot more things coming from them in the next couple of weeks.
So, guys, closing statements. I'm going to start with Abai.
You're on mute, buddy.
You first have to unmute yourself, though.
Oh my God! Yeah, I totally forgot I was on mute. Okay.
No problem. We all do it.
Oh my goodness.
We all do it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as far as performances in the IPL from South Africans are concerned, I would say top performers, Faf, KG, and Anrich, and I feel I have a pretty strong feeling they'll extend their good form over the course of the rest of the tournament. Another player to watch for is I'd maybe say Hardisville Yun. He's yet to get a game for Kings 11, but he might be another one to keep an eye out for. He's from Kolpak. He's now a T20 freelancer, so he's got a lot of experience. Let's see how he does. That's pretty much it.
So thanks, Abai. I'm going to give it to Ravi over to Ravi for your closing statements, and then Aditya to close off.
I don't know about everyone else, but I'm particularly excited to see what Josh Philippe is all about. I know he's not South African, but he got a hell of an endorsement from AB de Villiers. And that's as South African as it gets for me from that point of view. Philippe, of course, is the wicketkeeper batsman from Australia. He played for Sydney Sixers, I believe. And they say he's just as capable of damaging as AB. So And other than being a Faf fan, I'm also an AB fan as well. And if Josh Philippe is anything close to AB de Villiers, I'll be watching him very closely as well.
Cool. Aditya, can you wrap it up for us?
Definitely. I think this tournament generally is going to be about playing smart cricket. KL Rahul yesterday in his 132 didn't play a single shot that was sort of out of the textbook. If you look at it, it was all his sixes were through mid wicket or straight down the ground, couple to the offside. And I think that's what the tournament is going to be about. And I think that's the lesson that I think aspiring cricketers and current cricketers sort of need to learn about batting on these pitches. That ultimately, cricket is a game about balance and it's about adaptability because no two pitches are the same, no two grounds are the same, and overhead conditions change all the time. And the teams that adapt quickest to the conditions of the day, that play the smartest cricket, will be the ones who win. And to me, I feel like once Chennai find their best 11, once RCB sort of learn the art of balancing their innings again, as wasn't the case yesterday, but it was the case when Padikkal and Finch had opened the other day against the Sunrisers. I think we'll have a tournament on our hands where there's some real hard, sort of old school cricket being played.
So thanks a lot, guys, for calling in. I think those was amazing statements that all of you guys made. Check your bye. I'll speak to you again soon. And obviously, we're gonna maybe do a weekend wrap. I don't think we're gonna go live after every game. It's gonna be too much for us. So maybe we can do a weekend wrap on the Sunday podcast where you guys can just come on our Sunday podcast to chat a little bit of IPL, Aditya, maybe a bye. Ravi's going to be on the show already because we're going to be doing an amazing podcast show on our normal, this laid back talking about cricket. So maybe we can do for the last 15 minutes of the show, maybe talk about some IPL. Cool. Thanks a lot for calling in, guys.
Thank you.
So thanks for calling me, Khalid.
No problem, guys. See you.
Awesome.
So, guys, that is all we have for you for the Proteas Watch, basically, and also the IPL Watch. We just talk about the IPL in general, and we've got to add some amazing opinions about it and where how the South Africans are doing. You guys can go back and watch this video. It will be on the channel after the stream. So before you guys leave this, please just click the like, share, comment, and subscribe buttons and do all of those type of things. Obviously, we need your support as much as possible. So please subscribe. We are so close onto 1,000 subscribers. So we'd really like your support. Obviously, you guys know that you can go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all news updates, highlights, etc. We're doing amazing work over there too. Also, don't forget to download the latest issue of the magazine. The link is on the screen and the link is in the description. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Cheers.